If you've ever rocked up or woken up at camp to a warm fridge and dead lights, you know that when the batteries are flat, the fun stops and fast. And if you're remote or on a big trip, that's more than just annoying. And that's why a solar upgrade is one of the smartest things you can do for your setup. It'll keep your gear running without relying on an alternator or a noisy Jenny. Hi, I'm David, and I'm here at Outback Equipment in Acacia Ridge to show you three main styles of solar panels: fixed, semi-flexible, and folding. And we're going to show you unbiased, real-world reviews of gear we stock here at Outback Equipment. Today, we're going to run through the pros and cons and real-world output to find out what's going to suit your needs the best. So, we know that the alternator charges your battery while you're driving, and that's fine. However, if you park up for a few days and you want to keep that fridge cold, the lights on, and charge your gear, that battery's going to drop, and fast. That's where solar steps in. Let's take a closer look at these panels. First up, we have fixed panels. What that means is these are fixed in place, and whenever there's sun on them, they are charging. We've got three of the main popular models here. First up, we have the Tough Terrain 200 watt panel. At only 22 mils thick, it cuts down wind noise and drag while still pumping out over 10 amps per hour. Next, the Hardcore 170 watt panel. These are A-grade monocrystalline cells, built for hailstones, chips, and off-road knocks. Last but not least, the EnerDrive 190 watt panels. These are designed and built for reliability and, if you ever need it, strong local support. So let's look at some numbers. A solar panel between 170 and 200 watts, like these ones here, over a sunny 6-hour day should pump out between 8 and 11 amps per hour. What that means is, in total, that's 48 to 66 amp hours of power you can use. A normal fridge, about 50 litres, should use about 36 amp hours a day. What that means is, these will comfortably cover that fridge for the day and leave you plenty of spare for lights and charging gear at night time. Let's take a look at some of the pros and cons of fixed solar panels. When they're mounted to your roof and they're plumbed into a 12 volt system, they are always charging, provided you're parked in the sun. They're durable and they're weatherproof. And they're great for touring or daily rigs. Some of the things that aren't so great about fixed solar panels is that when you're parked in the shade, they're pretty useless. They can add a bit of height to your rig, and when mounted to your roof, you can lose some of that cargo space up top. One last thing to note is that because you can't angle these panels like you can a folding or a portable panel, you can lose up to 20% of the daily output totals. So look, what that means is, I reckon these are best for touring rigs or daily rigs once they're mounted in. Tradies with a fridge and tools parked in the sun, no problems at all. Or maybe you're a caravanner and you're going to off-grid locations, always in the sun, these are perfect for that as well. Next up, we have the semi-flexible panels. This one right here is the DriveTech 4x4 110 watt semi-flex panel. If you're looking for a solution to mount on a boat canopy or a pop top or a bonnet without adding bulk, these are the way to go. They can run a small fridge or offset the power draw from small power devices. Let's take a look at some of the pros and cons of the semi-flexible panels. These are super lightweight and a super low profile. You can mount them on awkward or tricky surfaces like a bonnet or a boat canopy or a pop-top caravan. Once they're installed, such a low profile, they're almost invisible. Some of the not so great things are they can have a lower wattage than their fixed panels, largely due to their size. They can run hot as there's no airflow underneath once they're mounted, and that does reduce the efficiency of the panel. Lastly, they're not as impact resistant as the fixed panels or the tempered glass panels. So what that means is, these are best for boats or pop tops or bonnet installations, or you've got roof height restrictions or roof weight restrictions. Maybe looks matter to you, and that's why a stealth install with a semi-flexible panel is the way to go for you. Last but not least, portable folding solar panels. These things are designed for maximum flexibility and maximum portability. What that means is, if you park your car in the shade, you can run a cable out to the panels and take full advantage of that full sunlight. Let's take a look at this one right here. This is a Hardcore 300 watt solar panel. These are built for high efficiency with PERC technology, and in good light, they can pump up to 17 amps per hour. This one right here is the Wildtrak 300 watt folding solar panels. They've got an ETFE coating, which is built for toughness, and they've got built-in stands so you can angle at the sun to get the maximum solar input for your setup. Let's take a look at a real-world example. So a 300 watt solar panel in good conditions can put out between 16 and 17 amps per hour. What that means is, in a full day of good conditions, you can pump out between 96 and 102 amps per day. That's plenty to run your fridge and your lights and even have some spare in the tank to run a coffee machine or a small inverter for short bursts. Some panels even have USB ports designed into the system itself, so you can run power straight from the solar panel, whereas others are designed to run through a regulator into a battery before you can use that power. And a few final thoughts. The bigger the wattage, the heavier the blanket. A 300 watt solar panel is going to be much heavier than a 100 watt solar panel, so keep that in mind. One last thing, good quality sturdy kickstands. For example, a metal kickstand can withstand wind a whole lot more than plastic ones. What that means is you can keep your panels angled towards the sun and get maximum benefit of that solar power. Right, let's take a look at the pros and cons of the folding portable solar panels. These things are uber portable, which means you can chase the sun no matter the time of the day. They also pack down quite small, so you can slot them into those nooks and crannies in your cargo space. And of course, they can be angled towards the sun to chase maximum efficiency. Some of the not so great things are they can be more expensive up front. And of course, each time you want to use them, you've got to set it up or pack it down every time to get that power. And of course, they can be damaged if not handled carefully. So what that means is, I think these things are best for shady campsites, or maybe you're a traveler with limited storage, or maybe you've got a bigger solar setup and these things are used as your backup solar power. They're great for that too. All right, so it's one thing to talk about specs on paper, but with solar panels, what you really want is a real world kind of test. So we've come outside and we've got three of our popular panels here. We've got the Tough Terrain 200 watt slim, the Hardcore 170 watt fixed, and the Enerdrive 190 watt fixed mono. What we're going to do is run them all through the same regulator and the same battery. Conditions are not ideal, but they're good enough to do a real world comparison between these three panels. Let's see how we go. First up, we have the Tough Terrain 200 watt slimline panel. Right now, there's a few clouds in the way, but we're getting about 10 amps per hour. A few minutes ago, with full sun, we were pumping out close to 12 amps per hour from a slimline panel. If space and weight are a factor for you, I reckon it's a pretty good choice. Up next, we have the Hardcore 170 watt fixed. Right now, we're pulling in about 9 amps per hour. A few minutes ago, when we ran this test, it was pulling out over 10 amps per hour. That's pretty good from a panel that's got a little bit less wattage than the previous one. These A-grade cells are doing a great job, even as the light shifts a bit. And finally, we have the Enerdrive 190 watt fixed mono panel. A few minutes ago, when we ran this test, it was peaking at about 11-12 amps per hour. In ideal conditions, I reckon this panel should get between 13 and 14 amps per hour. Right now, we're getting about 11 amps per hour in partly cloudy conditions. That's pretty good from a fixed mount panel. Now remember, when comparing panels, it's equally important to compare build quality as much as output. Look for rust-proof aluminium frames, sturdy hinges, hail-resistant glass, heavy-duty cabling. And as always, panels built for Australian conditions will last a whole lot longer. Also, check what type of cells those panels use. For example, monocrystalline cells work better in full direct sunlight. Polycrystalline cells work better in lower light conditions, and amorphous cells are a thin film that can even perform well in part shade conditions. One last bit of advice, watch out for those cheaper panels that can really overstate the wattage. Often the output can be a whole lot lower. So the real takeaway is all three perform really well, and it comes down to your choice, how much space you've got up top, your budget, and how much weight you want on your rig. So a few quick tech tips. Whatever you choose, make sure you run through a good MPPT or maximum power point tracking regulator. These things are much more efficient, especially in low light conditions. Thicker cabling is also a great choice to make sure you reduce that voltage drop from your panels to your batteries. And with those regulators, opt for a dust and moisture protection regulator. And of course, set it to the right charging profile, lithium, AGM, or gel, and let them make sure you don't overcharge your batteries. And number two, before you buy any panel, just check the open circuit voltage. It has to fall within the input regulations of your battery or your regulator. Too low and it won't charge. Too high and you could damage your gear. And number three, make sure your panel's connections match up with your setup. Standard is MC4, but you might need Anderson plugs or XT60 connectors. So when you're traveling with solar panels, there are a few simple mistakes to avoid. Let's take a look at them. Number one is a dust and grime buildup. Even a thin layer can really reduce your power up to by half. Simple solution, a quick wipe over and you're back to A-OK. Number two is putting mounted panels in the shade for too long, especially in the middle of the day. You're losing precious charging time by having those panels in the shade. Number three, is using cables that are too thin, and that voltage drop means you're losing power even before it reaches the battery. Number 4 is check the weather rating, at least IP65, and that means your regulator is going to be protected from water and dust ingress and your panels as well. Number 5, warranty is a great indicator of quality. I'd expect at least 2 years on the panels themselves, and some high-end panels even have a 25-year performance guarantee, which means they'll produce at least 80% of their rated power for years to come. And there we have it, the 3 main types of panels: the fixed glass panels, semi-flexible panels, and the portable folding solar panels. The fixed glass panels are awesome for set and forget charging. In the sun, once they're mounted and plumbed in, they're giving you perfect amp hours. The semi-flexible panels are perfect for light, low-profile mounts. And the folding solar panels, these are the kings of portability, and they give you the freedom to chase that sun even when you park in the shade. And there you have it. You can check out the full range at outbackequipment.com.au. Tell us in the comments which style you'd run and why. If you liked that video, please subscribe and we'll see you next time.